Hello and welcome, this is Rooflemonger, and this is my tips and tricks guide for Hit Season 3 as the time of this recording. So like all these other tips and trick styles, the guides I do, they're going to be long. There's going to be a lot of stuff as I cover basically all aspects of the character. So if you want to skip around, there will be timestamps in the top pinned comment and also in the video description, and skip around to your heart's content. Hit's an oddball, so we're going to be talking about a lot of stuff here. First, we'll go over his special moves, starting with the stances first specifically, because it's one of the most, if not the most unique thing about the character. Alright, so first up here are the stances, and the stances, just so you know, this is going to hold true for the rest of the video. They got silly names. I think light stance is vital point attack, medium stance and heavy is like tides of time. I'm just going to be calling them light stance and medium stance and heavy stance when applicable. So just so you know. Now first up here, let's talk about the light stance. So the stances have 3 follow-ups here, and for light, our first follow-up is the light attack, and we got the big old knuckle attack here, and that's the direct hit. Now, it's mostly combo fodder, and you can catch people in neutral with it as well, because it is fairly long range, as you can see, for what it does. Also, keep in mind if someone air blocks it, as it's a barely negative on block, if we turn on our values here, it's barely negative on block just by itself. And if they're any kind of airborne, it will be plus on block, just so you know. And very good for like Oki situations. But yeah, good combo extender. One of the best things about it is no matter where you catch them. So say we have Broly Colin do his assist here. If we do that, then do the move. No matter where they are, as long as you caught them, the enemy will always be level with hit. Doesn't matter if they're a bit higher up or a bit lower off. Whatever they are, the enemy's always level with hit, making it very easy for like a various assist follow-ups and all that kind of stuff, because you can count on the height they will be at after you hit the move, versus, you know, any stray hit, you know, if you hit them, they're at whatever height they were, right? So it just makes it very useful all around. So in neutral or in middle of a string, you can do like, you know, just whatever, go into it, go and assist. If it hits combo time, that's great. If not, whatever your plus is your turn. But yeah, the move is definitely a workhorse. The medium attack from the light stance is the instant blow. And this move here, a little divisive as of Season 3, as you can definitely say it was nerfed. So it always gives a sliding knockdown now. In neutral, you know, by itself, in combos, that's all that kind of stuff, sure. But before it had a lot more combo potential, and that's definitely, well, it's not here anymore, right? So as it stands now, the main use for it is as a combo ender to get the sliding knockdown. And finally, we have the guard breaker. That's the EX move here from here when you hit heavy iron stance. It's in all 3 versions of the stance, although a little bit different depending on which stance you do it in. But the big thing about guard breaker is, hey, it's got some range. As you can see here, not quite full screen, but just about. It'll just barely miss from full screen, but anywhere else you'll connect. And the big thing about it is, as soon as you press that button, it is invincible from frame 1. So whatever they do, it could be a big old beam, it could be a level 3, it could be whatever you think it could be, right? It doesn't matter. As soon as you hit that button, Hit is completely invincible to everything, and thus, in all situations other than them blocking or them not being there due to, you know, being somewhat airborne, Hit will always win out. It's a tool to be very belligerent with in Season 3 because it only costs half a bar now. You can kind of go nuts a little bit. Like, don't just waste your bar if you think they're going to block, right? But any situation where you think there's going to be some kind of challenge happening, rest assured you are always going to win out. Now, going on to the medium stance. So the medium stance has this nice little glowing effect here, and it's not just for show, although it does signify he's in the medium stance versus, say, the light stance without the whole firework display. So when he's in the medium stance, he is not only invincible to most attacks, but not all, but he's also intangible, meaning, hey, you can just literally go right through him. And everything goes right through him. While he's in this stance, and the flames are up here, he is basically invulnerable to everything short of command grabs and dragon rushes, right? So in this situation, while you can go right through him, and all attacks will go right through him, he can still get dragon rush just fine, so don't worry about that. And if you're fighting a character with command grab, they can also command grab him. But otherwise, he is effectively as if he's not on the map. And just keep that in mind because it's a pretty cool feather in the cap. Now onto the actual moves. So when he's in the medium stance, he has the old punchy lasers, otherwise known as time release. Definitely one of the more signature moves to Hit. If you've seen anything about Hit, You probably know all about this, right? So big time combo extender can be used in neutral as well. And the one thing to note here is there's actually 3 versions. So there's the mash light attack version, which is the 3 punches. Now, the first hit's the part where it gets different. So if you just do 1 light attack, it's always straight across. And yes, it does track wherever the enemy is on the screen. Although the enemy tracking is a little limited. So if they're just like screeching at you and running forward, it might miss, just so you know. Now you also have down in light, which is this guy here. And up in light, which is this guy here, which launches them upwards. So the big thing is this. The down in light version is an actual overhead. They do have to block that standing. So not as big of a deal hit as we'll talk about later in the video, but they do have to block it standing. They can't just crouch block it, right? And the upwards version launches them straight up. So you can just kind of go from there, and there's a lot of combo opportunities with that in mind. Check the companion combo guide video. There's actually a touch of death that's only possible thanks to the upwards version of the punch laser. But yeah, so very big in combos. Good in neutral to a degree. It's pretty unsafe on block up close. I wouldn't do it up close. But from full screen or mid screen, it's pretty safe with all the pushback. But yeah, very interesting move. If you do plan on using it in neutral, I do recommend using the up version, as it seems to have the best hitbox for tracking a moving character, at least in my testing with it. Maybe that's just confirmation bias based on my testing. But anyways, I've done a lot of different routines and just testing various movement with various characters. And for my money, the upwards one tends to catch people in neutral the easiest. So just keep that in mind. But yeah, pretty important move. Now, medium is instant blow. It's the same move as the light stance version, except you teleport, you switch sides. So it's basically meant to be tricky. Now, that said, if you see that blue aura, this can only ever hit cross-up, right? Only the regular stance can hit same side. So if the blue aura is there, it's never a mystery that this move is going to cross up, just so you know. And also has the guard breaker as well. And the guard breaker also is a cross-up in this version of the stance. Just like before, invincible frame 1. So just a massive amount of invincibility. The only way you can stop it from happening is, well, you had to hit him before you hit the button, right? Otherwise, once he hits the button, it happens on frame 1, it's too late. And safe on block, just like the other one too. So very good to use and abuse, basically. And finally, the heavy stance, this guy here. So it works exactly like the medium stance, except the startup is a lot faster, as you can see here. So he enters the little blue aura a lot quicker. But other than that, the moves are basically the same. The big thing to note is since he enters the move a lot quicker, he is invincible a lot quicker. So he can enter that intangible state around frame 4 versus it being a lot slower when he does it manually, right? And also, you can cancel all the stances here simply by hitting your S button here, your key less button. And there's some stuff about the EX version and that canceling, but we'll talk about that later in the video. Alright, so now that the stance-specific stuff's out of the way, let's just talk about his other special moves. First up here, we have the Icy Glare. Now, I guess you could call this, in a way, a grab, as it is unblockable. So this is the light version here, and as you can see by itself, nothing much is happening here. But if we were to be closer to the enemy, well then all of a sudden, a bunch of little phantom hits crank them in the dome. We go from there. Now, once again, it's technically an unblockable, not a command grab, but in a lot of ways, it's kind of the same difference. One thing to note here, though, it doesn't hit very quick. So if we were to turn on our frame display here, so if we do the move here, it hits on frame 30. A lot of command grabs that are considered slow hit on frame 24, and they're still quite a bit faster than this move, right? So you do have to rely on the enemy not looking for this move, because otherwise it is fairly reactable. They can either jump out of it or homing dash out of it, or whatever, right? But here's some of the other things about the move. So the light version of what we're doing right now, you are able to hold it. The more you hold it, the more the little time ice extends out. And once you let go, if the character's underneath it, that's when the hit happens. Now the medium version actually happens further out, as you can see here. So if we were to be, say, directly beside the foe and do that version, well, it's not even on the screen, it's so far out, right? It comes in at a fixed distance, so the further out, the better. And also, in a nice little, gaming trick here, if you do it from basically the edge of where it'll hit, normally when people look at the screen, they're looking, between the two characters, right? Because that's the easiest way to assess what's happening, if they're coming at you, or it's just being called, or whatever, right? So they generally are not looking behind them, and that's generally the perfect time to sneak this in and get a little crack at it. Now, the EX version specifically here, it launches upwards, which is one of the best things about it. So if you can get it here and dash forward, you can actually combo out from that. So the other versions, if you want a combo, well, you're going to have to spend some meter on a Vanish or a Super or something like that, right? The X version, no need. You can combo if you didn't drop it. But hey, I'm recording, so that's what happens. But if you just get the move, that basically saves you half a bar, no need to Vanish, and you can combo from there. It's very much predicated on, once again, you trying to catch people asleep at the wheel, or you're giving them so many other threats that they're just not looking for it anymore. But still, hey, you know, when they're not looking for it, they're not looking for it. And when they're not looking for it, hey, we got them. Next up, we have the dashes. First up here, we have the Deadly Intent dash, quarter circle forward S. So he dashes forward here, and he is projectile immune while doing it, just so you know, starting on frame 4, not frame 1. But as long as you didn't like do it into a meaty move, you should be fine. So it's a good way to get past that stuff. And if you do nothing at all, he just enters the light stance. And from the light stance, you can do all the light stance stuff. You can do a guard break or whatever you want, right? But if you hit a button here, like medium beforehand, he'll do the medium stance, or conversely, if you hit heavy, he'll do the EX stance. So you control which stance he does before the move finishes up, and from there, you get all the options of the stance. So hit light, light stance, hit medium, medium stance, and hit heavy, you get the heavy stance. We also have the Mark of the Assassin, quarter circle back, and S button here, and that is a backdash. And this backdash also has a fair amount of invincibility to it as well, just so you know. And this backdash is also special cancelable. Basically, whatever you tack onto the dash, he'll just immediately go into it, and it'll be considered part of the move. So I could backdash into, say, Light Stance. I could backdash into Icy Glare if I so chose. Whatever you want, you can just go from there. It's a great way to like kind of just go in. Say if you're getting blocked, you don't want to deal with it, you can just back out. And from that point where you back out, you can just toss out buttons, go for a special, just recalibrate and, you know, get some space back, try again. Whatever you want to try, it's a great way to just gain space and just reassess. On the super move front here, we do have 2 level 1s and level 3. First level 1 here, Realized Power. It is just kind of a base level 1. It switches sides, unfortunately. If you do it on the ground, you will pop them up. And if you do manage to get them while they're airborne, you will knock them down to the ground. Nice little spike down motion, right? Just to help with like DHCs and having tag supers connect on the proper way. Now, the fun one here is the Death Blow. And let me turn on the damage values just so you can see here. So, it's a level 1 super, yes. So, kabam, right? And did a fair bit of damage. But it's more than just a level 1. It actually just takes whatever bar you got. So right now, level 1 raw damage, 2,564, right? And say, let's crank it up here, 3 bars. So now let's find out what happens here. Oh, wow, okay. So it took all 3 bars and 4,564, and of course take it to its logical conclusion, and all of a sudden, you got a monster on your hands here, 6,564, right? So however much bar you have, that's what it's going to be. And hey, going directly into level 3 here, if we did a raw level 3 versus the raw Death Blow, you're going to find out it doesn't do as much damage, right? So if you're just looking to put damage on the table and you don't care how much it costs, Death Blow is the way, because it takes every ounce of the meter you got and puts it directly into the damage. Now, all that said here, hey, the level 3, we briefly mentioned it, famously known also as a stance, which is confusing because he has moves that are actual stances, but level 3 is I Keep Improving, and it's about what you expect from a level 3. One of the better things about it is, say if the opponent's in Sparking and they're regenerating health, being hit, time stops, and Sparking health regeneration also stops while he does the move. So it won't be one of those level 3s where they can get some health back while they're getting hit. So that's pretty cool. Now to speak on his assists. So first up here, assist A, it's the guard breaker. It's his base move, right? It's not invulnerable from frame 1 like the regular guard breaker, that's for sure. It does have some invincibility actually, but it's not till pretty later on in the move. But for all points and purposes here, it's alright. Like I can't say too much about it here. So if we say we turn on the numbers, as far as basic assist stuff goes, it starts up in a decent amount. The frame advantage on block here, it's 29 frames of block stun, which is pretty much average. The best thing to say about it is when it actually connects, it holds the opponent in place for a little bit here before launch, so it can really help with like grounded combos and stuff. And hey, the range, pretty good as well. It's definitely not one of the best assists in the game, but as it stands, it's a reliable workhorse. It's alright block stun, it comes out in decent speed. The hitbox is actually a little bit better than you think because it can hit up kind of decently high, holds them in place for combo stuff, at least for the first part before the actual launch happens. So yeah, I don't know, it's the assist he's had forever, right? You know, since day one, and it just works and it's just okay, but it's not special or amazing. His B assist added in Season 3, so that is his medium attack from his stances, and he'll just hold in place for a second and then go forward and attack. Now, first up here, you probably noticed, hey, there's a wall bounce, and wall bounces are always welcome. They are great for combo ability and just strong all in all. Now, that said, startup, it's slow, 40 frames, right? But it does hit from full screen, so if you are just, you know, waiting or comboing out or that kind of stuff, hey, that's something you can do, right? So in this situation, I'm confirming from Broly's basic key blast. Oh, I got it. Call hit someone on the other end of the screen. I know it's a wall bounce, so I get the combo from there. All gravy. So extra strong combo ability. That said, once again, a little slow on the startup, and as far as like block stun goes, it's also 29 frames, so decidedly average. And finally, his C assist. So like many other C assists, big old combo, all that kind of stuff. Now, there's some unique properties to it. Well, one, hey, it is slow, just like all C assists. And just like all C assists, if you're doing it while you are comboing the foe, it'll happen a lot quicker. But it doesn't just dump them in front of you. This C assist actively moves the enemy towards the corner. Most C assists in this game just dump them out in front of you. There's like no real corner progression. For hits, hey, there is, right? Another thing, yes, it does indeed track. So wherever you are on the screen, it will do its best to meet you there. Now, in the middle of a combo, very easy, not too much issue. But if you're just using it in neutral, while it will track it like wherever you are, it will do its best to meet wherever you are. However, if the opponent is just moving a lot, there's a very strong chance it could whiff. Now, that said, he doesn't move himself forward. He just stands in place when he does it, right? So there's no real risk of him getting hit out as long as you are also kind of in front of him. So while it's not the strongest neutral assist by itself raw, it does track, it'll do its best to try to hit the foe, and he doesn't put himself in any danger going towards the enemy and getting knocked out while doing it. Now, of all these assists, which is the best? Well, if you're prone to C assists, well, it's tracking, it's good, pretty fire and forget if you want to use it in neutral. But basically comes down to, do you want just kind of the workhorse A assist, or do you want the enhanced combo ability of the B assist? And for that, well, hey, I got no easy answers for you. You will have to go with what you prefer. Okay, now before anything else here, we're going back to character selection. Because the big thing I want to impart on you is Hit doesn't play like anybody else. Hit very much plays his own game. So say you learn good old Super Saiyan Goku, right? If you learn Super Saiyan Goku, you have a lot of the building blocks to understand how Tien works. Understand how Bardock works, understand how like any of the Vegetas work, that kind of stuff, right? Now, there's a lot of characters that share some similarities, and, you know, there's a lot of people that are very unique in and of themselves, as you know, well. But here's the thing, Hit's like alien compared to the rest of the cast. And I don't mean like alien like Jiren, right? I mean, Hit's so much his own thing. Like anything you learn for Hit, you can't really transfer over to other characters. Like if you learn stuff about, you know, Big Broly, you can learn Broly Jr. pretty decently, right? There's some transference, even though they are still fully unique characters, but there's ideas that carry over. But Hit just is so much his own thing that nothing can prepare you for learning Hit other than just putting your time into the character. No one else plays the same game. That's one of the reasons why he's a very rare character, right? No matter how much you play this game, I bet you've probably seen Hit almost less than any other character, because he's awkward to use and he's just so different than everybody else. Now that said, that is not to dissuade you from picking the character, far from it. That's the whole point of this guide, right? But just understand, Hit's weird and he's odd. And when you're picking Hit, you're in for a ride. Okay, so the first thing here, normally I'd call this like notable normals or something like that, but let's just talk with the most notable normal, and that is a stand medium. So, you know, Goku Black has the down heavy. People call the down heavy of the gods, down H of the gods. And yo, if that's the down heavy of the gods, this is the stand M of the gods. So it is ripping quick, comes in about 12 frames, and it covers about half the screen, a little bit less. And yeah, for how fast this move is, the amount of distance it covers is absolutely extraordinary. Nothing else can be said about that. So what you're going to be doing a lot of times is something simple like stand M, the down H, and just go from there. If you're a little far out, if you're like at the exact kind of max range of the move, the down H can tend to whiff sometimes, at which point you'd want to go like stand M into stand H, which is also good, and you still get combo opportunity from it. But yeah, man, Hit's effective engagement range, like a lot of characters, like they might do basic key blasts or, you know, whatever, general annoyances, but they're not big threats from this far away, right? You might take a hit, lose 10%. Not a big deal, but Hit gets a lot of his big boy stuff from roughly this range because of the fact that stand M is so quick and goes so far. Like, there's a lot of other characters with big normals, right? Like, you know, big fan myself. Hey, wow, what range on that stand light? Really cool. Down M goes pretty far. That's neat. You know, oh, Broly, hey, you're stand heavy. That goes kind of far. That's cool. You know, but Hit just outranges them all. And there's nothing much more to say than that, man. It's going to be a big pillar of your offense, a big pillar of your moveset. The stand M is awesome. So now that we just talked about standing M and how good it is in last section, and did mention, well, standing M in the down heavy is going to be one of your more primary forms of engagement. Here's an easy option select to make sure you're always defended if they get blocked, and if you actually connected, then hey, always time the combo. So if you want to practice this yourself, what you want to do here is go to enemy settings, set the guard style here to random, and what we're going to be doing is this. So you're going to go for your stand M down heavy, right? And after that, just delay a split second, and after that, hit heavy again, and then enter your backdash. So with your inputs on, it'll look something like this. So you can see here, I hit medium, down heavy, I hit heavy again, and then I inputted the backdash he has. So what is all this about? Well, here's the thing. So if you do your down heavy or your stand heavy and you hit heavy again, you will automatically follow up with your homing dash, right? You don't actually have to hit the homing dash shortcut macro or just H and S together if you're playing on the arcade stick. All you have to do is hit heavy again. So if it gets blocked, then nothing comes out. And if it hits, well, then you do your homing dash, right? And from that point here, as you can see here, got blocked to hit heavy, nothing come out. Then afterwards, that's when you hit your backdash. So in a scenario where, say, we know they're going to block, so we'll set enemy to guard all here. So here we are, stand medium into down heavy, and we're going to be hitting that option select here, and then we just backdash out. That's pretty much all there is to it. So if the enemy is going to be blocking, we get to backdash out, and if they're not going to be blocking, well then, hey, we got our homing dash, right? So we basically get the best of both worlds. We get our combo follow-up if it connects, and if it's blocked, we can reset from there, backdash. And of course, if you watch how the move works, you can safely cancel your backdash into anything you want. It could be an icy glare, it could be stance into punch lasers, it could just be reset the neutral and just go from there, and maybe go for another stand medium, right? It could be whatever you want. But it's an easy option to select to make sure you always get what's most beneficial to you. Now, a quick thing to note about Hit's combo structure when it comes to like airborne stuff here. Kind of key because Hit honestly is not a high damage character, so getting all the damage you can, it's a big deal. So basically, anytime after you launch an enemy, it could be off your down heavy, it could be if you did them, just launch them up more traditional way with the jumping, light into down heavy. After that homing dash, when you launch them up, you should be doing this. So normally when you hit them with the homing dash, you just attack right away. Don't do that. Actually, hit him with that homing dash, wait a split second, then hit light. And the main reason we're doing this specifically is to get maximum amount of height so we can end the air combo in a very specific way. So after we delay it, as you can see right here, light, medium, light, heavy, specifically. It gives you just a little bit more edge on a combo. It's not the end of the world. It's not, 10 times more damage than you would get otherwise normally. But thanks to the way his heavy kick arcs, it arcs upwards first and then kind of swings downwards. We can spike down with it, and it just lets you get a little bit more damage than you otherwise could. It just makes your life a lot easier here because a lot of times, as you can see right there, I just fell out, right? I just did not have the requisite height I needed to make everything go, and yeah, then you drop your combo, you don't get any damage, right? You can do just mash light or something at the top of the combo and still get your damage, but if you just want to eke out what you can, and with hit, since once again lower damage character, every bit matters. Just after your initial homing dash, just wait a split second and then do your light, down, heavy, so you have a little bit more air than normal, and you can finish out light, medium, light, heavy, and just get a little bit more damage than you otherwise would. Now let's talk about Hit's very unique Ki Blast, because he doesn't Ki Blast at all, right? So he has the counter, and the counter is different if it's done in the air, if it's done on the ground. And before we get too much into it, I'll just say the air version is very much superior. So the grounded version, if he hits an enemy does anything, basically other than a throw, then he'll just kind of bounce back and go for an attack. And if it's done with the airborne version, what will happen instead is he'll just appear on the other side of the enemy and kind of just you can do whatever you want from there. So this move doesn't happen the first possible frame. So if you do it a little bit late, as you can see, you can get counter hit out of it. You see the counter on the side. So it does happen on frame 4. So it happens very fast, yes, but it doesn't happen on the earliest possible instant. So if you're, say, knocked down to the ground, you mash it, you might just get beat out. So buyer beware on that one. Now, I did mention the aerial version is better. Well, here's the thing. The grounded version, this punch follow-up you get is not in any way, shape, or form guaranteed. The enemy does get a chance to block. Now, depending on the move, if it's a longer startup move, maybe they don't, right? But the thing is, you can also get assists. It's any strike at all, right? So anything short of a command grab, you can counter it, go through it. And if it's the enemy assist, they can just block and in some unfortunate situations, maybe even punish you for trying it. It's not that it's bad, but it just doesn't have the utility of the aerial one. Because the aerial one, once again here, the aerial one, and let's try that a little better timing here. You just wind up on the other side, right? And that's right away. No startup, you're just on the other side. So there's a lot of situations where once you land on their head, just bop them and combo them from there. And here's the true beauty of it, and it comes dealing with super dashes. So right now, for the purposes of this, I want you to see that the enemy is set to guard literally everything, right? So the only time they won't guard is in a punish situation. And normally, hey, super dash, not a punishable move in any way, shape, or form. However, hit can. So if you use your air parry here against a super dash, you'll wind up on the other side, right? And if you attack right away after countering the super dash, it is a guaranteed punish. As you can see there, all I have to do, just attack right away afterwards, all she wrote. Now, if you're a bit on the slower end, unfortunately they will have time to block. It doesn't just give it to you. It's not a guaranteed punish in that regard. But as long as you just attack right after the homing dash goes through your counter and you kind of just basically be on the other side, you can get a big old punish. So people who are very prone to super dashing, Hit has a way to deal with it that's just a lot more than the usual down heavy, right? And he can deal with it while he's in the air, and that's kind of difficult. Some people, they can just, hit their button here. Like, he actually has a pretty decent jumping light when it comes to people in the air, so he can knock them out, but hey, this happens faster. There's less risk of being stuffed out, and it just gives him a good opportunity to deal with super dash in a way a lot of other characters just don't have. Alright, so now let's talk about Hit's high-low game and kind of lack thereof. So when it comes to overheads, Hit's awesome, right? He's got down light, which is a very fast overhead for what it does, 20 frames, faster than the universal overhead. Also pretty handy in combos, it does a fair chunk of damage, right? He also has the triple overhead, right? So if I go jump in, instant air dash, medium, light, heavy, 3 hits overhead, have to block all 3 standing, and that's cool. But here's the issue. Well, obviously, don't have a down hitting light, because that's an overhead, his down light. So his only low he can produce is his down medium. And if we take a look at the old frame data here, the down medium comes in at a whopping 27 frames. This is slower than a lot of command grabs that are considered quite reactable, right? So the general rule when you fight hit is don't ever crouch block. Just react to the stomp. That's it. A lot of characters, you crouch block, and then when you see they're going to go high, you stand up, right? That's kind of fighting games 101. That's how it works in a lot of fighting games, not just Dragon Ball FighterZ by any stretch. But against hit, just stand up. Don't ever crouch block. The only time you should crouch block is when you see that stomp coming. And since it takes about a half second to do, it is on the slower end of things. Now, it's not to say no one will ever get caught by it, but of course they will, right? But it's just a thing of if they're looking for it, it is slow enough that it's quite reactable. So if you're looking to hit someone with that low, you gotta present them other threats. You gotta make them worry about like left, rights, or just anything else other than blocking low, and that's when it'll start working. So it's up to you to present an offense where that will work out for you. Well, since high-low isn't the answer, they only have your low to worry about, otherwise always block high, then I guess we gotta rely more on left and right, and just your neutral power in general, because, his neutral power is very good, because he outbuttons most people, he's got good range on a lot of stuff, he's a threat on most points of the screen. Now, just a basic cross-up here. His jump light's really good, even like a tiny character like GT Goku here, right? As long as they don't hit too early, it'll hit just fine. His jump medium also pretty good as long as you hit it early against a small character. So even if you're very close to the foe, you can still get your cross-ups in. That's pretty good. And of course, applicable from there, just hit buttons, combo out. That's great. And of course, when it comes to left to right stuff, you can hide in block strings. You can do a lot better than that example. That was pretty bad timing, but you get the idea, right? And of course, you have other options, as you also have, command dashes that can switch sides. So when you're just going through, you can enter a stance, and from that stance, you can like double recross up, all that kind of stuff. And of course, keep in mind, you do have an unblockable. It's not particularly quick, but probably didn't see that one coming, right? Because you're generally looking at a lot of the focus that's happening on screen in front of you, and the medium version of the Icy Glare comes in from behind the screen where just people aren't paying attention. They're not looking there, right? And of course, you could just backdash into medium stance, also cross up. You can use Guard Breaker, be nice and invincible. There's a lot of stuff you can do. Breaking people open with hits weird, right? Because high-low is how a lot of people do it. And he has an unblockable, but it's a little bit slow and it's different. Because you can see like this range here, I'd have to spend a bar to connect, right? And you don't always want to do that, especially when you have Guard Breaker, which is what you're going to be spending a lot of your bar on. But yeah, just think outside the box is, I guess, what I'm trying to say. Now, to note, a pretty important concept is stance canceling. So on its most base level, any of the stances you enter, you can hit your S button and you cancel out. That easy, right? Same for medium, same for EX. Now, the big thing to note here is specifically the EX. So the EX version is already handy in that it enters the medium stance faster than the actual medium stance does. So you can go into moves from it quicker, you gain those invincibility frames quicker, but you're also allowed to cancel it a lot quicker than the regular medium stance could. So a lot of stance stuff, you can just go like light, medium stance, cancel, Dragon Rush, something like that. Just to mess with people, that's cool. That's something that's pretty basic, but it also has a lot of combo applications. So say I got no assist to back me up, I'm all by my lonesome here. What can I do if I get this by myself? Well, it turns out with stance canceling, and EX stance canceling specifically, quite a bit.
Here it comes. Take this. Take this. Take this. Let's go over here.
So you can see right there, every rep of the auto combo, afterwards I'm going into EX stance, canceling it, and I can follow up with another rep. Now, you can't do it forever. It's certainly no infinite combo, and if you have like more hits in your combo beforehand, then you might get to do less reps here. But that's kind of the idea, is it gives you a lot of freedom in combos that you just otherwise never would have. On top, of course, just being a general threat and you cancel it and just go into something else. So yeah, play around with it. You can actually get a lot of combos from the stance canceling that you otherwise wouldn't think you would. And of course, check the companion combo guide that is linked at the end of the video for that. But yeah, stance canceling, cool thing. Now, this one specifically a note, I guess, kind of against Broly. So, hey, we all know Broly. We all love Broly. Broly's a good guy. And when he does his powered shell, well, projectiles, they just don't work quite the same way. He gets to laugh him off. And that's kind of the point, right? But here's the thing with Hit. So, Hit, the old punchy lasers. Despite obviously being a ranged attack, as you can see here, they do not count as a projectile. They count as a physical attack. So what does that mean? Well, it means the old projectile invincibility don't count. And this is across the board for any move that is projectile invincible but not strike invincible. So Hit's moves here is light attacks out of the medium and heavy stance. They are true physical attacks. They are not projectiles. So just keep that in mind here. Stuff like Broly powered shell, completely defenseless against it. Now, on the flip side of things, just so you know, once again, they are physical attacks and are subject to those rules. Therefore, if Jiren goes for a counter, well, you get countered from full screen. Probably not gonna come up, but just in case it does and why you wonder how you teleport it into Jiren's arms, well, now you know, because it's a physical attack. Alright, now this one's just for fun, but just so you know. So if you have Hit and you're in limit break, so he's the last person on the team, and you have 7 bars available, you have access to the easiest touch of death combo in the game. So how do we do it? Sparking Blast, and while you're in Sparking Blast, stand heavy, medium icy glare, and then do your death blow super. Boom, dead character. All you had to input was 3 motions and you killed the character. That's simple. Once again, all you gotta do, you gotta be in limit break, have your Sparking Blast up, and then from there, stand heavy, medium icy glare, and then your death blow super, boom, dead character. Will it ever happen in a real match? I don't know, I guess it's possible. If you're doing it, you're definitely doing it the style on your opponent, but there you go, easiest touch of death in the game. So when it comes to just, general game plan team composition, well, first up, where should he be on a team? In my opinion, I definitely think he's best served as the point character because, well, he benefits a lot from having 2 assists. That simple, right? His game plan is very awkward compared to the average character, and the more assists you have, just the easier things get in enforcing your game plan. Now, it's not to say he's crippled or helpless by himself, far from it. It just things get easier with more assists, and of course that's true with everybody, but exponentially more so for Hit, in my opinion. Now that said here, Hit has a very strong neutral. If both players' feet are on the ground, most of the time, except for against a couple characters, Hit's going to have the advantage, right? Because Hit's got bigger normals, he's got bigger everything, got all sorts of crazy movement to work with, but of course, this isn't Street Fighter, right? There's obviously a lot of air movement and a lot of aerial combat to worry about. But with that said, he gets to shut down the threat of the rando homing dash pretty easily with his counter, and in a pretty big way as he gets to blow it up with some actual guaranteed damage. When a lot of characters simply can't do that, they gotta risk sticking out buttons or challenging it in some way, shape, or form, which can go bad for them, especially in online situations. Some things work on his court, obviously, besides, just the overall range, which I can't really hammer home enough. The range is such a big deal. Like, we talk about how crazy Stand M is. Like, Stand Heavy is, like, almost 90% of the screen range. Also, on top of that, once again, when both players' feet are on the ground, Hit has a decided advantage, right? It's when we start getting really aerial that he kind of struggles a little bit. But that said, another thing here, he's got a 6-framer jab. A lot of characters do, like half the cast does, really, but at least he's not in, like, the big boy club. He has to deal with, like, the 7-framers and just kind of unfortunate. A lot of things that work out in his benefit start out on frame 4. So things like the counter, that starts off on frame 4, so you can always rest assured if they vanish on you, you can get out your counter fast enough before they can hit a button. Same deal with EX stance, also starts on frame 4. So, hey, there you go. We just went right through you, right? And you can follow up with all the kind of stuff. So, frame 4 very important because when they vanish, they're +2, and 6 frames is the fastest attack, therefore leaving a 4-frame gap, leaving you exactly enough time to get off your invincibility, get off your counter, whatever you want to do. Things kind of suck on the high-low department because, down am is his only low. And once again, there's no reason to do anything but stand block against hit. You just react to the low. That's it, right? You got left-right shenanigans you can work with, but it's just definitely it's not his best day, right? But the idea here is you're not so worried about that high-low situation. You're just worried about winning neutral, right? Stand M's really good. Guard breaker invulnerable from frame 1. It cannot lose to anything. It can only just block or whiff, but it cannot lose like directly, right? So you got a lot of ways to say like as long as we're facing each other directly, I'm gonna win, right? So the mix-up stuff, like, yeah, you got your weird left-right stuff thanks to the stances and all that. But the big thing is, generally speaking, all things being equal, he's more likely to hit you than you are to hit him. So once again, make use of that toolbox. Assists help a lot. His damage is a bit on the lower end of things, unfortunately. But thanks to his very oddball toolbox between unblockables, tons of invincibility, all points, he's got a lot of ways to crack you open in more unconventional ways. So yeah, Hit is a very interesting character. So that all said, hey, that is Hit. Hit, very difficult to use, difficult to understand. He just has no direct comparisons to any other character in this game, and that's part of the reason why he's honestly, even though he's a cool character, he's very much beloved in the fandom of Dragon Ball, right? He just doesn't show up that often in this game, and honestly, right there is probably his biggest asset. Why? Because people who are not understood well, you get to get away with a lot of stuff you normally should not. Take it from a T-Hawk player in Street Fighter, right? There's a lot of garbage that isn't real, but you can do it because they just don't understand what's happening. I myself, to this day, I see a hit, I'm terrified because who knows? Like, I just treat everything as real and respect it maybe when I shouldn't. And for a lesser played character, that's going to be one of your biggest strengths. But other than that, my friends, that is, I guess, the end of this video. So thank you very much for watching. Hope this video has found you well. Go out and play some Dragon Ball.